Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump is hitting the campaign trail today for the first time since the debate. And as he tries to win over more voters, he's still threatening to run as a third-party candidate if he's not treated, quote, fairly by the party.
We're going to keep the door open. We're going to see what happens. That was a totally false report put out by ABC. They got it from somebody, I guess, maybe. But it was a totally false report. And a lot of people were calling and asking, I'm going to keep the door open. We're going to see. I want to run as a Republican. I'm leading in every poll. Big one poll came out yesterday. I'm at 32%. And nationally, and that's what I want to do. I want to run as a Republican. But I do want to keep that door open in case I don't get treated fairly.
Well, since Thursday's debate, Trump is holding court with 24%, in fact. Jeb Bush with half of that at 12%, and Florida Senator Marco Rubio rounds out the top three with 8%. Now, all of this comes in the wake of Trump's controversial comments about Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly after her very tough questioning when moderating the debate. Here's Chief White House Correspondent Major Garrett.
Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker complained that Donald Trump was, quote, drowning him out, and the media was fixated on only one candidate.
For a lot of us, it's like watching a car accident instead of focusing on the direction we should be headed.
Kentucky Senator Rand Paul agreed, calling Trump a fake conservative.
All this sort of false bravado and all this bluster. I mean, aren't people eventually going to say, does the emperor have any clothes or does the emperor have a brain, frankly?
Last night, Trump took another hit at Paul, tweeting, "Truly weird, Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky reminds me of a spoiled brat without a properly functioning brain. He was terrible at debate." As for Trump's blood feud with Fox debate moderator Megyn Kelly, the real estate mogul continued his attacks Monday.
She asked me a very inappropriate question. She should really be apologizing to me. You want to know the truth.
Kelly was equally defiant.
Trump, who is the front runner, will not apologize. And I certainly will not apologize for doing good journalism.
The dispute caused Trump's top political advisor, Roger Stone, to quit the campaign over the weekend and take his grievances public last night.
I was frustrated. I frankly think that Trump is much better than this.
In yet another bizarre turn, Trump and Fox News chairman Roger Ailes spoke Monday and declared a truce. Ailes said he supported Kelly 100%, but after a blunt but cordial conversation, the air has been cleared. Campaigning in New Hampshire, Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton branded Trump's attack on Kelly offensive, but declared Florida Senator Marco Rubio's position on abortion more troubling.
When one of their major candidates, a much younger man, the senator from Florida, says there should be no exceptions for rape and incest, that is as offensive and as troubling a comment as you can hear from a major candidate running for the presidency.
And Major Garrett joins us now. Major, thanks for being here.
Sure.
Was it inevitable that Hillary Clinton would use the comments by Donald Trump to paint the entire Republican field?
Two things are true right now for every candidate not named Donald Trump. The way you get media coverage is to say something about Donald Trump. Right. Point one. Point two, as soon as the Republicans who were not named Donald Trump engaged last Thursday night on the issue of abortion, Hillary Clinton's campaign seized on all the potential fodder they could make out of Mike Huckabee saying that the 4th and 15th Amendment would be used to protect the rights of the unborn child. Marco Rubio to say he was opposed to abortion being legalized for rape and incest, and other Republicans on that stage joining in that general sense that abortion should not just be outlawed in some cases, but nearly all cases. Right. So what did Hillary Clinton do? She talked about Donald Trump and the Megyn Kelly controversy, but used that as a pathway to talk to this broader issue, saying, yes, I disagree with Donald Trump, but look, there are lots of other Republicans on the stage I find disagreeable, and if you're the kind of woman voter who's shown up in the last 2 or 3 presidential election cycles, you're going to find it disagreeable too.
So Trump is back on the trail today.
Yes.
A lot of people are waiting for him to pivot and to perhaps get more positive, but he hasn't done that. He insulted, veterans, didn't pivot from that. He has insulted fellow journalists. He hasn't pivoted from that. In fact, he's come on even stronger. So are we just waiting for something that's never going to happen?
Well, there is a cyclical quality to Donald Trump's sort of anger management issue. Someone attacks him, he attacks right back. Someone punches him, he punches back harder. Rand Paul, who is running so low in the polls right now, he has fallen considerably from where he started his campaign, has decided to make Trump an issue in order to get some publicity. there's no reason at this point, considering where Trump is in the polls, to attack down at Rand Paul. The shrewdest thing would be to ignore Rand Paul and say, I don't even hear what he said.
But he doesn't.
I can't hear what he said because he doesn't matter. He's so irrelevant. But no, he punches down and punches down hard.
And on Twitter.
And on Twitter, you know. So one thing I think the Trump campaign, and there really is nothing much more beyond Donald Trump and a couple of solid people in Iowa and New Hampshire, but the brainstem is all Donald Trump. What he has to reconcile himself to, if he decides to, is whether or not the exhausting element of this back and forth and tit for tat for everyone is good for him and good for his campaign. Maybe he'll come to a decision about that. Maybe he won't. Maybe this is his reflexive character, and it is going to continue until this campaign.
Lack of discipline.
And just a lack of discipline, but also he would say, hey, that's who I am. Right. And that's why people like me. People like me because I'm not all those things that they have come to expect and maybe loathe about careful, cautious, poll-tested politicians. So there is a yin and yang about this. Authenticity, but also exhaustion. We'll find out where they two meet or glide right along each other as this campaign moves down the track.
Do you feel, through your reporting, that a lot of the people who support Donald Trump are there for the long haul? Or is it, as some have said, this is just for now? I mean, as I was saying earlier, Rick Perry, at this point in the last election, was polling very, very strong numbers and got decimated by the time he got to Iowa. Is this the same thing that we're seeing with Trump, or will people stick with him for the long haul?
I mean, remember, last cycle is instructive in this sense. Rick Perry had his moment, Herman Cain had his moment, Michelle Bachmann had a moment, Newt Gingrich had a moment. Lots of different people had a moment, and were never the nominee. We're never even close to the nominee. Rick Santorum had a couple of moments.
Iowa, yeah.
Iowa, and then he won 10 other states, as he will tell you relentlessly.
All the time.
And they had their moments, but they were never the nominee. They were never even close to becoming the nominee. This is an incredibly long testing process. And it matters now because it says something in general about the Republican Party, and the establishment isn't particularly comfortable with what it says. But it also speaks to an underlying level of frustration and dissatisfaction in the American public, and particularly the Republican electorate. They want to win, but they also want to win aggressively. And they want to have someone who is an exponent of their most deeply held beliefs. America's on the wrong track. It needs to be great again. I want to do things that are bold, intense, and memorable. There's a sense that it's more important that Donald Trump acts and sounds like a leader and not necessarily anyone sifting over, well, what's the mechanism by which he would take us in that direction? Just the fact that he stands out as someone who appears more aggressive, authentic, and passionate about the future of the country is what's pulling Republicans generally toward him.
Major Garrett, thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
You are going to want to keep it right here on CBSN. Later today, Donald Trump will speak at a Republican dinner in Michigan. Major Garrett will be there, and we will have coverage of tonight's event starting at 6:30 p.m. Eastern.